John Miller was anxious that morning, a mix of pride and nervousness. Finally, it was his daughter Emily's graduation day. He wore his cleanest clothes, a white shirt already slightly yellowed with time, and pants that, although ironed, showed signs of wear. He didn't care about that. He was more concerned with Emily's happiness. Will she be smiling? He wondered. Emily always had a smile that could light up any room, and today would be one of the most important days of her life. Arriving at the college campus, John looked around, trying to locate his daughter among the graduates and their families. The main auditorium was decorated with colorful balloons and congratulatory posters scattered everywhere. Families were taking pictures, laughing, and hugging their children. John felt a pang of pride seeing so many young people about to embark on a new phase of life. He imagined Emily in a bright future, perhaps working at a big company or following her most ambitious dreams. As he approached the auditorium entrance, he was intercepted by two burly security guards. "Excuse me, sir, may I see your invitation?" one of the guards asked, his expression neutral. John, not fully understanding, began searching his pockets for the invitation. He knew he had received one but couldn't find it. Tension started to build in his stomach. I had an invitation," he said nervously. "It must be here somewhere." The other guard, more impatient, crossed his arms. "Without the invitation, you can't enter. College rules." John felt his face heat with embarrassment. He looked up and saw Emily in the distance, laughing and talking with her friends. Kevin, her boyfriend, was by her side holding her hand. She looked so happy, so carefree. The sight warmed John's heart, but also made him feel even more desperate to be with her in this special moment. "Please, I'm her father. I just want to see my daughter graduate," John pleaded. The guards exchanged a brief look, and one of them finally replied, "Sorry, sir, but we can't make exceptions. No invitation, no entry." Humiliated, John turned around and began walking back home, each step heavier than the last. As he crossed the streets of Springfield, he remembered the sacrifices he had made to ensure Emily could study. He worked extra hours, refused to buy things for himself, all so she could have a chance at a better future. The memories of the difficult times made him question if it had all been worth it. When he got home, John collapsed on the couch, feeling a mix of pain and disappointment. That's when he noticed an envelope on the living room table. The letter had no return address. Curious, he opened the envelope and found several photos of Emily and Kevin in compromising situations. In some, they were at parties visibly drunk, and in others, in intimate poses. There was also an anonymous message. "You don't know the real Emily. She and Kevin are deceiving you." John felt a chill down his spine. Who could have sent these photos? And why? He knew Emily better than anyone, but those images planted a seed of doubt in his mind. That night, he could barely sleep, disturbed by the images and the humiliation he had suffered. The smiling face of Emily during the ceremony stayed in his mind. How could she not have noticed his absence? Or worse, did she notice and simply not care? The next day, John put on his simplest clothes but with a determination that did not go unnoticed. He decided to visit the college campus, seeking information that could clarify the origin of the photos. The first place he stopped was the academic office. The secretary, a middle-aged woman with thin glasses and a tight bun, looked at him with disdain. "Good morning, how can I help you?" she asked, her tone clearly impatient. "Good morning, my name is John Miller. I would like to speak with some of my daughter's professors, Emily." "It's a private matter," John responded, trying to stay calm. The secretary sighed and, without much interest, pointed to the hallway. "The faculty room is the third door on the right." "Good luck," she said, returning to her paperwork. John thanked her and walked down the hallway. When he reached the faculty room, he knocked gently on the door and was greeted by the math professor, Mr. Thompson, a man in his 50s with gray hair and a friendly expression. "Mr. Miller, how can I help you?" the professor asked, inviting John in. "Mr. Thompson, I'm looking for information about something that might be happening with my daughter Emily. I received an anonymous letter with photos of her and her boyfriend, Kevin, in compromising situations. I think someone close to her might be involved, John explained, his voice heavy with concern. Mr. Thompson frowned, clearly surprised. Compromising photos? This is very serious, Mr. Miller. But honestly, I haven't heard anything about it. Emily has always been an exemplary student. Maybe it's better to talk to some of her classmates, the professor suggested. John thanked him and left the room, feeling even more lost than before. He decided to approach some of Emily's friends in the college courtyard. Spotting a group of young people, he approached them timidly. "Excuse me, can I talk to you for a moment?" he asked, trying not to appear threatening. The young people exchanged looks, a bit suspicious, but one of them, a girl named Sarah, decided to respond. "Sure, Mr. Miller. What do you need?" Sarah asked, curious. "I need to know if any of you have seen or heard anything strange about Emily and Kevin. I received an anonymous letter with compromising photos of them, and I'm trying to find out who might be behind it," John explained. Sarah looked at her friends, who shook their heads negatively. "No, Mr. Miller. We don't know anything like that. Emily never mentioned anything about it to us," Sarah replied sincerely. Disheartened, John thanked them and left, his mind still spinning with unanswered questions. Back home, he began to make connections. He remembered hearing rumors about Kevin's father, Richard, an influential businessman in town known for his dishonest practices. Could Richard be involved somehow? With this new suspicion, John decided to confront Emily about the photos. He waited until she returned from college, and when she entered the house, he called her to the living room. "Emily, we need to talk," John said with a serious tone. Emily, surprised, sat down on the couch. "What's wrong, Dad?" she asked, a little worried. John took the anonymous letter and photos and placed them on the table in front of her. "I received this yesterday. Photos of you and Kevin in compromising situations. Do you know anything about this?" he asked, looking directly into his daughter's eyes. Emily looked at the photos, shocked. "Dad, I have no idea who could have taken these photos or sent the letter. This is ridiculous," she responded defensively. "Emily, I just want the truth. I'm trying to protect you," John said, his voice filled with emotion. "You're obsessed, Dad. This isn't normal. You're scaring me," Emily responded, standing up from the couch and going to her room, slamming the door. John stayed there, sitting, feeling powerless. He began to realize that the anonymous letter might be part of a more elaborate plan to alienate him from Emily. John Miller, immersed in a mix of frustration and determination, decided he needed help to uncover the mystery surrounding the photos of Emily and Kevin. He then remembered Lisa, an old colleague who was now a renowned investigative journalist in the city. John knew Lisa could be the key to discovering the truth. He decided to visit her at her office. Upon entering, he was greeted by Lisa with a warm smile. "John, long time no see. How are you?" Lisa asked, visibly surprised and happy to see him. "I've been better, Lisa. I need your help," John responded with a serious tone. Lisa invited him to sit and listened attentively as he recounted the whole story, from the humiliation at the graduation to the anonymous letter with the compromising photos. Lisa, always curious and determined, accepted the challenge without hesitation. "We'll solve this together, John," Lisa said with a determined look. In the days that followed, Lisa used her connections and investigative skills to dig deeper into the lives of Kevin and his father, Richard. It was then that she discovered something alarming. Kevin and Richard were involved in a corruption scheme that could harm many people in the city. Lisa decided to share this information with John. "John, I found something big. Kevin and his father are involved in corruption. This goes far beyond the photos," Lisa explained, showing documents and evidence she had gathered. "My God," John murmured, shocked. As they delved deeper into their investigations, John began to receive anonymous threats, strange calls at odd hours, notes left at his door, and even a suspicious car following him around town. But these threats only served to strengthen his determination. One night, John and Lisa were reviewing the evidence in search of something more concrete. It was then that they found proof that Richard had bribed the graduation security guards to prevent John from entering. The discovery left John furious. "He will pay for this," John exclaimed, clenching his fists. Lisa, always rational, suggested they plan a meeting with Richard to confront him with the evidence. "We need to be careful, John. Let's plan this right," Lisa advised. John agreed, and together they devised a plan. On the scheduled day, John went to meet Richard, taking with him all the evidence Lisa had gathered. When he arrived at the arranged location, Richard was already waiting, sitting at a table in an exclusive city restaurant. John approached, feeling adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Sit down, John," Richard said with a cold smile. John sat down, never taking his eyes off Richard. "I know what you did. I have proof that you bribed the security guards to stop me from attending my daughter's graduation," John declared, placing the documents on the table. Richard looked at the papers with disdain and then raised his eyes to John. "And what do you plan to do with this?" Richard asked, his tone challenging. "I will expose you," John responded confidently. Richard laughed, a dry and sarcastic laugh. "Do you really think you can bring me down?" Richard asked in a tone of disdain. "Emily knows everything and accepted it to ensure a comfortable future with Kevin." John felt the ground collapse beneath his feet. The betrayal of his daughter hit him like a mortal blow. Even so, he remained firm. "I will not give up," John said, his voice firm. "I've already lost a lot. I won't lose my dignity too." Richard stared at him for a few seconds before offering a bribe. "How much do you want to forget all this?" Richard asked, confident that John would accept. "I'm not for sale," John replied, standing up. "You will pay for everything you've done." With those words, John left the restaurant, determined to move forward with the charges, even knowing he might lose Emily forever. As he walked back home, he knew that, with Lisa's help, he could expose the truth and perhaps regain his daughter's respect and love. John Miller, despite all the despair he felt, knew he needed to stay calm and move forward with his investigations. He returned to the college campus the next day, this time looking for someone who might have seen or heard something about Kevin and Richard. In the library, he found Jenny, a classmate of Emily. She was known for being discreet and observant, qualities John hoped could help him. "Hello, Jenny. Do you have a moment?" John asked, trying to appear calm. "Sure, Mr. Miller. How can I help?" Jenny replied with a friendly smile. "I need information about Kevin and Richard. Have you seen or heard anything suspicious about them?" John asked, getting straight to the point. Jenny thought for a moment before responding. "Actually, I've heard some rumors. Some people say Kevin and his father are involved in illegal activities, but I've never seen anything concrete." "Hasn't Emily mentioned anything?" Jenny asked, curious. "No, she hasn't mentioned anything. But thank you, Jenny. This helps," John said, grateful. As he left the library, John found Lisa waiting for him outside. She had a serious expression on her face, and John knew she had something important to say. "John, we need to talk. I think I've found something important," Lisa said, pulling him to a quieter corner of the campus. Lisa showed John some text messages she had recovered from Kevin's phone, provided by an anonymous source. The messages indicated that Kevin and Richard were planning something big, something that could put many people in danger. "They are planning a major financial scam, John. We need to act quickly," Lisa explained, worried. John felt his anger growing inside him. He knew he needed to protect not only Emily, but also the community that could be affected by Richard and Kevin's plans. "What can we do?" John asked, determined. "We'll inform the police and ensure they're ready to act when they make their next move. We can't let them get away this time," Lisa said, confident. With the plan in motion, John tried to live his life normally but always stayed alert. The trap worked perfectly. Kevin was captured by the police while attempting to attack John, his rage and desperation finally leading him to prison. With Kevin out of the picture, Emily began to rebuild her relationship with her father. She finally recognized John's value and integrity, understanding the sacrifices he had made for her. "Dad, I'm so sorry for everything. I was so unfair to you," I promise I will honor all the sacrifices you made for me, Emily said one day, her eyes full of determination and regret. I know you will, my daughter, and I will always be here for you, no matter what happens, John responded, his heart finally finding some peace. The city of Springfield also felt the repercussions of the events. Richard and Kevin were exposed, and their family's dishonest practices were dismantled. Lisa gained recognition for her investigative work, and John, once looked upon with disdain, was now respected for his courage and integrity. In the end, Emily and John found a new beginning. The renewed love between father and daughter brought new hope for both of them. John finally felt the pride and peace he had sought for so long, knowing that despite all the adversities, love and truth had prevailed. Emily, still incredulous, revisited the moments when she was manipulated by Kevin and Richard. Each memory, once filled with affection and promises, now revealed manipulation and ulterior motives. She remembered the times Kevin isolated her from her friends and family, always with a gentle smile and sweet words, but now she saw everything clearly. He had used her as a pawn in a much larger game, and that devastated her. As Richard was arrested, Emily found herself alone and helpless. She felt betrayed on all sides, and the loneliness consumed her. She didn't know where to go or whom to trust. She decided to go to her father's house, John, with a lump in her throat and tears in her eyes. John, despite all the pain he felt, was determined to continue supporting Emily. When he saw her at the door, his heart tightened. He hugged her without hesitation, feeling the weight of sadness and regret on his shoulders. Dad, I didn't know. I was so blind. Emily sobbed, the words barely leaving her mouth. Shoo, my daughter. It's okay. Now you're here, and that's what matters, John replied, his voice firm but filled with emotion. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions for both. Emily tried to adjust to the new reality, while John offered all the support he could. He knew the recovery journey would be long, but he was willing to walk alongside her, step by step. Kevin, on the other hand, did not accept his family's downfall so easily. In a desperate act, he planned to take revenge on John, blaming him for the ruin of his life. He started to follow John discreetly, waiting for the right moment to attack. However, Lisa, always vigilant, suspected Kevin's intentions and decided to act. John, we need to talk. I think Kevin is planning something against you, Lisa warned, her expression serious. I knew he wouldn't give up so easily. But what can we do? John asked, worried. We'll set a trap. I'll inform the police and ensure they're ready to act when he makes his next move, Lisa suggested, determined. With the plan in motion, John tried to live his life normally but always stayed alert. The trap worked perfectly. Kevin was captured by the police while attempting to attack John, his rage and desperation finally leading him to prison. With Kevin out of the picture, Emily began to rebuild her relationship with her father. She finally recognized John's value and integrity, understanding the sacrifices he had made for her. Dad, I'm so sorry for everything. I was so unfair to you. I promise I will honor all the sacrifices you made for me, Emily said one day, her eyes full of determination and regret. I know you will, my daughter, and I will always be here for you, no matter what happens, John responded, his heart finally finding some peace. The city of Springfield also felt the repercussions of the events. Richard and Kevin were exposed, and their family's dishonest practices were dismantled. Lisa gained recognition for her investigative work, and John, once looked upon with disdain, was now respected for his courage and integrity. John Miller was determined not to let the situation with Richard and Kevin go unnoticed. He and Lisa continued to investigate the family's criminal activities, uncovering even more about their corruption and financial fraud schemes. John also realized he needed to do something more. He decided to speak publicly about what had happened, not only to expose Richard and Kevin, but to inspire other parents and community members to fight for justice and integrity. One sunny afternoon, John was invited to speak at a community event in the town square. The place was packed with people of all ages eager to hear his story. He stepped onto the stage, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. Good afternoon, everyone. I am John Miller, Emily Miller's father. I'm here today to tell my story and to warn everyone about the dangers of corruption and dishonesty. John began with a firm voice. He spoke about the sacrifices he made to ensure Emily's education, the humiliation he felt being barred from the graduation, and the compromising photos he received. He recounted how, with Lisa's help, he uncovered Richard and Kevin's schemes and faced threats to protect his daughter and his community. We cannot allow dishonesty and corruption to govern our lives. We must fight for justice and integrity, not just for ourselves, but for future generations, John concluded, receiving a standing ovation from the crowd. After the speech, many people approached John to thank him and share their own stories of fighting against corruption. He realized he had started something bigger than he had imagined. Springfield was waking up to the need for change, and he was proud to be a part of it. In the following months, John and Lisa continued to work together, now with the support of a more vigilant and united community. Richard and Kevin faced severe penalties in court, and their family's dishonest practices were widely exposed. Emily, in turn, found a new purpose in her life. She decided to study law. Inspired by her father's courage and determination, she wanted to help other people face injustices and fight for a fairer world. The relationship between John and Emily also grew stronger. They began to communicate more openly and trust each other like never before. The difficult moments they went through together only solidified their love and mutual respect. Over time, John and Emily's story became an example for many. The city of Springfield began to see significant changes. Local authorities implemented stricter policies against corruption and encouraged active community participation in monitoring dishonest practices. John was invited to speak in several other cities and even on television programs. He became a local hero, someone who not only faced great adversities, but also managed to inspire an entire community to seek justice and integrity. Lisa, in turn, received numerous awards for her investigative work. She continued to expose cases of corruption, always with the same determination that led her to help John. The two maintained a strong friendship and a professional partnership that yielded many positive results. Emily began working at a renowned law firm dedicated to human rights and social justice cases. She felt fulfilled and knew she was on the right path to make a difference. On a beautiful summer day, while John was in his garden, tending to the flowers that Emily loved so much, he reflected on how much his life had changed. The sacrifice, pain, and humiliation he had faced now seemed distant, overshadowed by the achievements and the joy of seeing his daughter thrive. Emily appeared at the door, watching her father with a smile. She walked over to him and knelt beside him, helping him care for the plants. "Dad, I was thinking, have you ever considered writing a book about everything that happened?" she asked with a sparkle in her eyes. John laughed, surprised by the suggestion. "A book? I never thought about it. I don't think I'm very good with words," he replied, thoughtful. "You're great with words, Dad. Your story can inspire even more people. And I'd be here to help," Emily said, holding John's hand. He looked at his daughter, feeling a wave of pride and love. Maybe writing a book was a good idea. A way to immortalize the journey that brought them to this point, and to continue inspiring others to fight for justice. "Maybe you're right, Emily. Maybe it's time to tell our story in a different way," John agreed with a smile. And so, John and Emily began working together on the book, reliving the difficult moments but also celebrating the victories and the power of love and truth. They knew their journey wasn't over yet, but they were ready to face any challenge that came their way, always together. Life went on, but with a new sense of justice and integrity. John, Emily, and Lisa became pillars of this new era, showing that with courage and determination, it's possible to transform a community and inspire the world.